All right.
All right.
We on the episode 2 of the Untitled Podcast.
Episode 2 of the Untitled Podcast, also a special podcast because we are fasting.
Yes. So this is actually right now. This is your first ever fast that is going to be over 24 hours, right?
Yeah. I've done 24-hour fast, but 40-hour fast a little bit different.
And you know what? Even a 24-hour fast is pretty admirable. I know most people could probably do a 24-hour fast, but once you start pushing past that 1 day territory, things start to get a little interesting. Things start to get a little interesting, man. And I would recommend anybody out there who doesn't know the benefits of fasting to really look into it, because it's a game changer. So
maybe on episode 3 we'll talk a little bit about
what
the experience was like.
Especially,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because I've done a few now. 48. Yeah. I've never done a past 48 hours, but that's probably my next challenge.
Next month.
For you, this is a 48-hour fast. I actually want to hear what your experience is on the next pod.
That's what we'll do the next one.
Yes,
we'll start it off that way.
All right, man. All right.
Well,
so we had a good conversation the last time, man. You know, it was our first podcast. We just fucking pressed record, and you know, we really just got done analyzing the footage, and I think we got some good little gems in there, man.
There's a lot. We only looked at the first half of it too. There's a lot to take away from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, we'll chop it up and share the message with the world at some point. But yeah, man, let's jump into it. I did take some notes, just kind of like some things that, you know, we talk about things throughout the week.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, that's always something that, you know, it'd be good to like expand on or talk about. So I kind of wrote some of those down, added some context to it, and let's just see where it goes.
Yeah.
See where it goes.
Man. I mean, that's how I think we best operate that way anyway. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So the first thing I had in mind, right, and I'll just read it out what I wrote, is, you know, we often as men do things to please and chase women, right?
Yeah.
And we talked about a little bit on the podcast, got kind of cut off, but I think it'd be good to explain why do you think that is? Why is it that that's kind of the dynamic where men like are always chasing, putting a woman on the pedestal, even if they might not really deserve it. We talked a little bit about being social conditioning and like if you think about the movies we watch and stuff like that, but I think we should expand a little bit on that.
I mean, I think you just mentioned one of the things that I think is probably one of the deepest rooted things, and it's media. Like, we've been exposed as kids to media since the moment we could open our eyes. The moment we were given birth, man. Like, you know, media has been around. And if you look at the type of movies and the media and the TV shows that are shoved into our faces, it's often like, I mean, if you just look at rom-coms, and I used to be huge, like, you know, when I was younger, like huge fan of rom-coms, watched so many movies, things like that, and didn't realize until way later in life how much that affected me.
Yeah.
And my view and perspective of dating and love and attraction, and the reason why is because you just don't know any better. These movies are so deeply ingrained into our psyche. Just think about all the rom-com movies you've seen, all those drama movies.
What immediately comes to my mind is like Disney movies.
Disney movies. And the premise of all those movies is that there's a princess, right? And there's some Prince Charming coming out of nowhere. And his whole mission is to save the princess. And she is the one that is the prize. He's the one that has to do everything to get the princess.
Save the
he
princess,
needs to risk his life, slay all the dragons, and in many ways lose his respect to get the approval of the princess. And now, while I 100% wholeheartedly believe you should love women and treat them with respect as you should any human being. Mm-hmm. The issue that comes from that is that naturally what that does is that teaches men to put women on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And from my experience and from the countless experience of many men I've spoken to and women as well, when you see how they respond to men who put them on a pedestal,
yeah,
it's always the reversed effect. It's always icky.
Yeah.
Like, why are you putting me on a pedestal? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, I mean, we've been taught essentially to rescue the princess and all this stuff, but that's just not a real depiction of how love between a man and a woman actually works.
Yeah. And you, I think, would argue that, like you said, that's not the best dynamic, right? Like a dude chasing and putting a woman on a pedestal is not the best dynamic.
When have you ever seen that work? You know? Like,
I think as guys, like, we feel, I would say I could speak for most men, when you feel a level of scarcity, because, you know, for a woman it might be easier, and it might just because of the way the dynamic is set up and how most men think, that it's like a woman can go ahead and get a man any day of the week if she really wants to, right? Whereas I don't think men feel the same way. For a man, like, you know,
right,
they feel like they have to do everything, you know?
Well, the truth is this, man. Like, the truth is that in the dynamic between men and women, men have the active role and women have the passive role.
Okay.
Like active masculinity and it's passive femininity, right? In the beginning, the truth is you're going to probably have to do most of the work as a man. Mm-hmm. And that's a part of us being the leader, right? Yeah. But to be the man that only is always giving his full effort and her to never do anything is absolutely just wrong. Like, once a man does the job of approaching her and raising her up,
yeah,
and she likes him and they've been intimate,
yeah,
man, she got to work for him too, man. This ain't no one-sided thing. I mean, just give you an example. Remember when we went to Palomino Beach? We were in the pool with that guy, right? The
dude from Alabama.
The dude from Alabama, gringo, you know, like, cool guy, such a cool, nice,
very cool guy,
cool dude. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't by any means like, I don't think he was like a loser or kind of like anything like that. He was actually
successful,
successful and stuff like this. And we talked about it. I was like, well, why are you here? Why are you? And he was by himself on the trip. And he was telling us, you know, recently I just got divorced and stuff like that. And we started digging a little bit deeper.
Yep.
And he started talking about how, like, you know, his wife is beautiful and like, he worked his entire life for her and did everything for her. And then I asked, I was like, has she ever done anything for you? And he kind of got quiet for a second.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. Like, she just doesn't do anything. Like, she expects me to do everything.
Well, the interesting thing about that was he said it in a way, he was like, yeah, no, she doesn't do anything. Like, that's normal. Like, that's acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And, I remember your reaction. You were kind of like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
I was literally just, it was my most natural, like, ick in my body. I was like, ugh, that doesn't feel right. It's like, bro, I was like, you telling me you married her and she doesn't serve you at all?
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. You hear those kind of stories and you have to ask yourself why. And he ended up divorced and left anyway.
Yeah.
Doing everything for her. Doing everything for her.
Yeah.
Provided everything for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Took care of her like a princess. But then I found, you know, and you have these experiences, you come to find out that, like, when you actually allow a woman to serve you and do things for you, man, that's when she actually falls in love. Why do you think, like, these dynamics and these like kind of these romance novels that women read.
Yeah.
Who they buy these books in droves, like 50 Shades of Grey and all these.
Like a hierarchy.
There's a hierarchy where like she falls in love with her boss because she's doing everything for him, and it's like, why, right? You have to ask these kind of profound questions.
Do you think women are also kind of pushed towards, like, especially in Western culture, they're pushed towards not serving a man, or like there's that kind of like, I'm a boss girl, you know, like that kind of attitude, where I think women are also kind of confused as well, where they're pushed to, like, you know, let's not be step into their feminine.
Let's get this straight too, man. Like, and I want to be very clear about this. Men are confused and women are confused. But I do wholeheartedly believe that as men, we have to start taking the lead, and we cannot wait on women to take charge and do the work necessary to cultivate our own masculinity. Because naturally, the woman will follow our lead. Like everything like men do, women will naturally follow our lead.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of a feminine woman. That's the beauty of the feminine essence. But what I've found is that over time, the pendulum has swung so far, and it's not even to the fault of women, that women have felt that they had to step into the energy of that men have abandoned. Men have abandoned their masculinity.
Yeah.
And women feel like they had to take on that role.
Yeah. I think it's good to kind of like, I think it's a good conversation, because like the idea of masculinity and femininity and the dynamics are like, I don't think people really expressly understand them.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true.
You know what
that's
I mean?
True.
Like you're talking about like, you know, you brought it up a couple of times in this conversation right now, like as it being masculine means to lead, essentially, right?
Yeah.
What would you say the feminine dynamic?
I will also say, although masculine energy is leading, women also need to earn our masculinity. You cannot just give away your masculinity to every woman. Like, not every woman deserves your masculinity. And this, and I wholeheartedly believe, man, the dynamic of dating between men and women has become so far skewed that the leverage that men have is almost non-existent.
Yeah. Well, this is what I mean.
This
is what I mean about, I feel like a lot of men feel a feeling of scarcity, right? That, like, for example, I don't know that guy's Alabama's like personal situation, but you know, I can see that probably a lot of men would be like, man, I have a beautiful hot wife, or I have a beautiful girlfriend, or a hot girlfriend.
Yeah.
If I lose that, I have nothing. And they're willing to put up with the bullshit, even though they're not really fully satisfied with the relationship.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Why, I mean, I can say a lot of that too, but what was your experience when you heard that story from that guy? Like, because I had a knee-jerk, like, reaction to him telling us that story. I was like, bro, you marrying her? You better put her to work.
Yeah, I don't think that's how. I think your reaction, though, like when I reflect on it, makes a lot of sense. I don't think that's the reaction that most people have.
No.
Well, most people I feel would kind of understand, like deep down inside.
Yeah.
Like, man, if you have a hot wife, sometimes like you just like, oh man, I don't want to lose it. You're afraid to lose something because you don't think you don't deserve anything better. You know, I think that's what it is.
Right.
It's like the relationship might be shitty, but you feel. Maybe it's your self-esteem, but you feel like you're not capable of anything better. So you're willing to put up with something that's like not optimal, or not really working towards your benefit.
Yeah. And here's the scary thing. And this is so under the radar that most men don't realize, is that since we just spoke about this, right? Since men have the active role in dating where we are typically the ones to pursue first, right?
Mm-hmm.
While women have a passive role, because women have a passive role, they will always have options even when they are in a committed relationship. But so she's always in the dating market. Totally. I guarantee you she's always in the There's always dudes that are going to be interested in her.
Yeah.
There's always dudes that are going to want to have sex with her.
Yeah.
There's always dudes that will probably line up to date her. What about the man? Well, the moment he gets into a committed relationship, he stops. He has no more options.
Yeah.
Because he's now dedicated his whole life to only serving her.
Yeah, I mean, how do you deal with that? Because, like, you know, you have to, you know, unless you're dating a lot of different women, like, because you're playing the active role, right? It takes energy, right?
Yeah.
It takes more energy.
Yeah,
you have to spend more energy up front.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? Because, you know, you want to pick the right woman. You know, maybe you want to date multiple women, but I think a lot of guys want to find.
Look, I'm not suggesting that if you're in a committed relationship that a man should go out and cheat and shit like that, right? Mm-hmm. But I will sit here and say that the moment a woman believes that no other woman would want to date her man, or be with her man, or see him as a sexual option, is the moment she has dried up for you, dried up for that man, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing: women will never admit this, and the reason why they'll never admit it because they know if they were to admit any of this stuff, they would lose all the leverage and power in that relationship. And her feminine essence, and here's the beauty of the feminine essence, is to challenge the man. She will always test her man. Mm-hmm. That feminine energy will always test masculine energy to see if that man is who he says he is, and is rock solid and strong. Can I, if she was a woman, can I get my man off center?
So let's this kind of expands to my next topic, right? So it's about, I guess, our value as men, right? And we talk and we see a lot online about the red pill space, right? Masculinity, that kind of space, and what does it mean to be a man? In fact, you know, we're kind of talking about the same thing, right? And when it comes to the red pill space, a lot of it is centered on this idea of being a high value man, right?
Right.
And kind of what I take away from it, let me know if you think the same, is around looks, money, and status, right?
Everything that's external.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's exactly what I wrote down. So those are external things. So those are things that are like necessarily, those are attractive qualities, right? You know, but those aren't necessarily things that might attract. They might attract a woman, but they might not be.
So here's the beautiful thing about knowing all that shit.
Yeah.
Is that look the red pill space started off actually as a noble cause, I believe, to allow men to start focusing on themselves and gain the leverage back in dating. But I believe it became very much like the feminist movement, a very woman-hating thing, right? Like the red pill movement, like evolved into a very woman-hating thing, and I don't think that's ever a good place to be. Yeah. Just like how feminism has today become a man-hating thing. I think feminism really started off as a great cause to release women from the kind of the shitty control that, you know, was placed on their lives.
Right.
But it really turned into this kind of just really disgusting, like, way to almost destroy the power that men naturally have.
Yeah.
There's a beauty in masculine power, and there's a beauty in feminine power, and when they're together,
and we've talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, because I feel like, you know, women sometimes hate men and men sometimes hate women, but the natural, the correct way, the way nature intended is for us to work together.
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely, man.
So since we're talking about looks, money, status, right? And those might be attractive qualities, but they might not necessarily keep a woman around, right? Just because you have those things. And we were talking a little bit earlier about Jeff Bezos, the Leo DiCaprio.
Right. That's an
interesting
interesting thing, man. Because if that was true, right? If the whole looks, money, status thing was the only things that would keep a woman around, then you wouldn't see. There's a whole video viral clip of. This is crazy, right? So there's a whole video viral clip of Jeff Bezos with his wife, and Leonardo DiCaprio standing next to them, right?
Yeah.
And in this video, you just see Jeff Bezos' wife looking up at Leonardo DiCaprio with just and lust,
the googly eyes,
and the googly like I'm in love eyes, right?
Yeah.
You see those things, and it's like, bro, Jeff Bezos is a freaking billionaire.
Yeah.
He has a ton of money, and he has status.
Yeah.
But more people know Leonardo DiCaprio. But I will say, so at the end of the day, what truly matters is just how that woman perceives that man and how that man makes her feel.
So let's talk about that. So how does one demonstrate value then, right? When it comes to attracting a woman, when it comes to keeping a woman engaged in a relationship, right? Having a healthy relationship. How does one demonstrate value, right? Because, you know, looks, money, status, right? Those are valuable things to have, but how does one demonstrate that?
You know, that's a good question, bro. And I think you have to be very intentional about when and where you demonstrate those values, right?
Tell me more.
There's nothing that will ever replace. There's nothing that will ever replace masculine personality and tone, because the only way to truly penetrate a woman's soul is through your words, right? Through your energy. We talked about active masculinity. Masculinity is active, right?
Right. And
when femininity is passive. A truly masculine man knows how to penetrate a woman's soul with his own soul, his own spirit.
Yeah.
That's what women are attracted to, man. When you notice a man who just resonates from his soul,
yeah,
through that, and that man, you will literally see women flock to him because he's resonating from such an authentic place within himself. So you ask, how would you demonstrate that value, bro?
Right. In
the beginning stages, bro, when you meet a woman, the only thing she cares about, or what is how that man makes her feel. She only sees what that man puts in front of her. Right. She doesn't know how big his bank account is.
Right.
And often, bro, and the amount of women who have come to me and be like, yo, there was this guy who like literally like on our like just met me and just like showed off his bank account to me. She was disgusted. She was like, ugh. Like it wasn't about that.
Well, dude, I mean, we live in Medellin, so you know when we go out to the clubs or you go out, you see girls who are clearly there because the guy has money, but
sugar daddy, like.
But you can see they're not necessarily having fun. They're not enjoying.
Not having fun, like, bro. And here's the beauty of understanding Riz and game and having that experience is the greatest use case of that is being able to see and observe and pick up on when a woman is actually genuinely attracted to a man, to you. You can see that. So when you can see that a woman's genuinely attracted to you, then what is the fucking wallet, the looks, or even status matter, right?
Yeah.
All those stuff are great. All that stuff is great, but when that stuff needs to come as secondary. 100%, and you have to do that stuff really just for yourself.
Yeah.
Work on your health, work on your body, right? Work on your money and your influence in the world, status.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the pure, like, just the pure cause of making a woman feel something for you, bro, that shit don't matter.
Bring that down to earth a little bit for me. So you said when we talk about demonstrating values, about
sometimes you gotta bring me back down to earth because I know some of the things I say is abstract.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate when you kind of you ask me to bring that down to a practical level because I have that experience.
Yeah. Don't you feel like this podcast is going like so much smoother than the first one?
Oh yeah,
I feel like
bro. It's just great, bro. The flow is great, and we're really speaking from a very authentic place, and from what I can feel, So
bring that. When I say bring that down to earth, like, okay, you saying, through your words, right?
Yeah.
Through resonating, I guess, your spirit, who you are, to that woman. That's a very like abstract concept, right?
I get it. Yeah.
So, what does that look like when it comes to?
You know who the most confident?
Like how like if I was to go out and approach a woman, right?
Yeah.
What would you tell me? Like, how would I go out and make a woman feel something or whatever it is?
Usually, men act different.
Yeah.
And incongruent when they, one, put women on a pedestal, a woman on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And two, when he lusts after her. He feels he needs to act different.
So
right? So if you think about the most confident people you know, man, the most confident motherfucker I know is an old guy, right? An old guy, old people, they've seen so much fucking shit in their lifetime that they're just like, like they just say it, they have no fucking filter, right?
Yeah.
And we laugh at it because it's like they have they're so unfiltered that it's hilarious and it makes you feel something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Have you not noticed that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. Those people just like, man, older people, they have soul. If you haven't noticed, they have soul because they've seen so fucking much. They resonate from a place of authenticity. They really don't give a fuck. They really don't give a fuck. And I've noticed that, man. Like, the less fucks you give, and you're just resonating from, you're almost like you're just you. Like, this is me, bro. That's when people just start looking at you, staring at you, and like.
Well, we had this experience recently, right? Like, when we went out, we cooked some steaks, had some girls over, and I remember specifically us just fucking having a good time.
Yeah, right.
We're out here chefing up in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it's like, we're not even trying to like seduce these girls per se. You're not trying to like, how like you said, like be incongruent and oh, what's up? Like, trying to talk like that, but we were just genuinely having a good time. The way we do when there are no girls.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've told this, I think I've said this to you before, to seduce is to be seduced. And what we were doing was we were seducing ourselves. we were genuinely having so much fucking fun amusing ourselves that these girls who were with us, great girls, just they just couldn't stop recording us.
Like that
they couldn't
energy.
just stop laughing. You were laughing like nonstop for the few hours, we were hanging out with each other.
Would you say that's kind of like, you hear in like game, you hear like what you feel, they feel.
Oh yeah, I think that's a golden rule, man. Like
you genuinely have to feel good.
You have to feel so fucking good in yourself as a man, because that energy this is the whole part of being a leader as a man, bro. Mm-hmm. You have to lead her emotions. If the way you lead her emotions is just think about the man. Just think about the man who it feels awkward in his own body. Right. The man who is always second guessing himself. The man who needs to filter everything he says. Just think about that man. There's no way that girl feels good within her. There's no way that girl feels safe to be herself with that.
That's a good point. Like how can you expect someone else to feel comfortable with you if you don't feel comfortable in yourself?
Oh yeah. And here's a beautiful thing about these beautiful women creatures, bro, is that they are so intuitive.
Yeah.
They can pick up on the smallest sub communication from the man.
Yeah. They
can pick up on all the small little details of how that man is feeling within his own body. And it's so subconscious to them, it's so natural to them.
Yeah.
That will literally just to be straight up overt, either make them wet or dry for that man.
Yeah. That's I think a really important thing to get through my own head, and also like for whoever is listening to this is like you have to like yourself, and that's kind of when we talk about the red pill stuff and the high value stuff, it's like part of like making money, doing all this stuff, it has to be for yourself. You have to like the fact that you're doing these for yourself, and then also like when you're communicating with women,
and I'll say
it's
that
still for yourself.
Bro,
you still have to
all that shit is great. Like the knowledge about how to make your looks maxing, the Gen Alpha shit today, like looks maxing, mewing, all that shit, making a shit ton of money and getting clout. All that shit, all that knowledge is good for making the man more attractive overall, but it fucks with a man when it comes to talking to the girl.
Yeah, there's that, like you said, like there's that soul element.
There's that soul element.
And whether you have money or any of these things or not, you still have a soul.
So what does it mean to love yourself? What does that actually mean? Because I think it's valuable to get into that. What does it mean to actually love yourself? What does a person who actually loves himself look like? Well, I would think that a person who really truly loves themselves can express themselves without putting any real importance on other people's opinions about them. Mm-hmm. They can say what they want to say. They can do what they want to do. They can act how they want to act. Yeah. They can be weird. And they're completely fine with themselves. Whether anybody that's looking at them thinks it's weird, likes them, doesn't like them, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're so fucking confident and truly resonant from their own core as a human being.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
And I think that's easier said than done, because I don't think I know very few people who like forget women are just comfortable with themselves and kind of can be unfiltered and express themselves truly,
Yeah.
That's a tough thing.
And why is that? Because everybody's so in their heads, man. Everybody's always thinking so logically.
Yeah.
That it takes that childlike innocence away from us. But if you think about a child, man, everybody people admire the energy from a child. Oftentimes.
Bro, children say the weird, like the craziest
things.
The
craziest fucking things, right? And although they can be annoying, it's like, bro, like what people admire is that they're so uninhibited.
Yeah.
They're so uninhibited because they don't care. They haven't had all the bullshit fucking trauma and shit like that fucking placed on them.
Yeah.
So much, you know what I mean? What happens is that as we grow up, all this bullshit kind of starts to weigh on us.
Yeah.
And we forget who we actually are.
What do you think are some practical ways that people can kind of tap back into the authentic self? Because like sometimes I feel people don't really know themselves. So do you have any practical things, maybe from your experience, that like has helped you kind of tap back in to recognize who you are and get comfortable with that?
I used to do a lot of things, bro. And I mean, we've talked about this before, but my journey has been crazy because I at some point in my life, I realized because at some point in my life, I had no fucking, like, I was so like not successful with girls. I was so like, I remember like just being like just so nice and accommodating and supplicating to women and people in general, very people pleasy, that I could never just fucking operate from my own power. And I at one point felt I was in so much pain, bro. I was sexually frustrated, like couldn't even land a date with a girl when I was a lot younger, right? Like all this shit. And I realized at some point, I was like, dude, I need to fix this. I need to fix this or else I'm headed down a very, very dark road.
Yeah.
And so I remember going on this journey. I went on I learned the concept of building a habit in 30 days. It takes 30 days to build a habit, right? You've heard of this before.
Yeah.
And my whole goal was to learn as much as I can and become truly comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I would go out for 30 days straight to social, just places where there were people, the mall, events, things like that. And I would do the weirdest things just to get out of my head, bro. Like I would do jumping jacks in front of people in crowded areas, push-ups. I would give myself little challenges. You know what I'm saying? I would go into like the food court at the mall and literally try to get food for free. I would see somebody walking with food and I would go up to them like, can I have some of that? And the amount of times, like a girl who had like some kind of fruit or like she was eating like on a college campus, I would literally go up to her like, yo, that looks so fucking good. Can I have some of that? And then I'll make her feed me. It was like it's just so stupid.
Yeah.
And what I've found is the stupider you can get, the more magnetic you become. Just turn off your brain. Become zombie-like. Just turn off your brain and just fucking do. Like stop thinking.
And you feel that process of just doing dumb shit helped you get comfortable.
Help me just get
who you are.
Exactly. It helped me get comfortable with the feeling of just being stupid, looking stupid, and not giving a fuck.
That's really interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that is such a powerful thing. It's such a freeing thing to just really not give a fuck, dude.
I guess because you were saying we're worried about what other people think. So if you're worried about what other people think, you can't truly express yourself.
Well, what's the reason why a man would not want to approach a pretty girl? It's not even the fact that it's because she's pretty. It's the fact that he now has the risk of getting rejected in front of other people by a pretty girl.
Right. It's more so that.
It's the whole psychological, social aspect of it.
Yeah. So by willing to look like a fool and getting comfortable with that feeling, you're freeing yourself from the opinions of others.
Right.
And ultimately, if you're not worried about rejection, whether it's girls or looking stupid in front of a crowd, then you can be comfortable within yourself.
And you know what? 100%.
That we've talked a lot about. That's actually a new thing for me to think about.
I know. It's a new thing for most people to think about.
Yeah.
And I will say, man, what I've noticed in my 10 years of my journey of just developing my own natural charisma and confidence in myself is what I found is the fact that you're willing to look like a fool is what people admire about
Because everyone wants to.
Because everyone wants to do that.
Everyone wants to.
Everybody wants to be able to get in front of the room and talk to a bunch of people uninhibited. Everybody wants to be. Every man wants to be able to see a woman and be like, I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go open my mouth.
Yeah.
Every man.
You're right. It's not necessarily the rejection of the girl. It's about, oh, what are they gonna think about me? It's more of that. It really is.
But you know what's funny? That's the thing that repels women the most. It's like, this man gives so many fucks.
Yeah.
This man gives so many fucks.
You're onto something here, bro. You're onto something. So we're at 40 minutes. Let me see. I mean, I think I got like quite a few topics. So let's see if there's.
You always bring great topics too and questions, man. I really
it's just a process of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Let's see. We talked about that. We talked about. So how much longer do you want? So we're at 40 minutes.
Yeah, let's keep going? Bro. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So the next thing,
as long as the camera's still on, we good?
Yeah. Fuck it. As long as it's recorded, we chop and change it up. We need to. So, we talked about the fact that women tend to be emotional creatures and men are more logical, right?
Yeah.
And I guess my question is, how does one, I guess we talked about this a little bit, how does one inject emotion to make a woman feel something? And you kind of talked about that, right? You talked about, truly being authentic, expressing yourself, right?
The highest level thing I can say, like we've already talked about this, is a man resonating from his soul. That'll just immediately inject emotion.
Yeah. But you've also made the distinction that, and this is kind of what I want to talk about. It's not necessarily always positive emotion that you want to express. You want to make a woman feel a range of emotions.
A spectrum of emotions, yeah.
So can you break down, I feel like most dudes will understand what it means to express positive emotion because like we talked about, all we're doing is, putting a woman on a pedestal,
you're so beautiful, you're everything, let me buy you some gifts, let me give you money, let me take you out on a date, let me take you on a dinner.
I love the way you're saying it because it's positive emotion, but it's still fake. It's not genuine.
It's not, and women can sense that.
Yeah.
They're such intuitive creatures. They can sense when a man is doing something genuinely or to manipulate a situation and get something from her.
And that, that's a great, bridge is it's about expressing authentic emotion, not trying to manipulate your way into whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about.
Well, before we get into that, that's actually why nice guys are actually the
nice guys finish last. Because
I wouldn't even say nice guys finish last, bro. I don't think it's a bad thing to be nice, but what nice guys go wrong is they're doing all this shit with an agenda, and women get pissed the fuck off when they realize this, and a guy gets mad because he's doing all these things for a girl, and it's like, why aren't you doing this for me? It's like, bro, a lot of times these girls don't even ask for that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They take it. Why wouldn't they take it? It's like you're getting, that's a nice offer. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But what women get mad is and this is why I believe probably women hate a lot of men is because they can feel everything they do is operated with a secret agenda in mind.
Well, and the thing with nice guys too, and I'll speak from my own experience, is there was this girl when I was living back in San Francisco, right? And there was a girl that I was had a big crush on for a year, probably a year and a half.
Yeah.
Doing all the nice guy stuff, right? But I think about it, I never really was direct with her and this is what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? I think you can't assume this girl she might know your intentions, but unless you're not upfront about it,
right?
you have an agenda,
Right.
And I realized, I never really was yo, I want to date you or whatever it is. I never was like that. I was just doing nice guy shit because now looking back, I was trying to manipulate the situation, and get something. But I could have saved myself a lot of heartache if I just was very direct and honest about what I wanted, right? So you've talked about it's not necessarily positive emotion, you want to express a range of emotions. So I want you to kind of talk about what does it mean when you say express what does it mean to inject negative emotion?
Right. With the I don't even think a man needs to consciously be like, I need to inject negative emotions. Right. I don't think you have to do that, although it can work. Let me start high level, okay?
Yeah.
I'll start high level, then I'll break it down practical. Like, high level, if a man is truly just authentic and operating from his soul, he'll naturally do those things anyway. He doesn't give a fuck.
Right.
So he could be like, oh, God, like, oh my God, like I love the way you do this and your nails. Oh, I fucking love it, right? It's positive, right?
Right.
Because he genuinely feels that.
Right.
And then he'd be like, ugh. Like, why are you doing that? You're crazy. You're fucking crazy, right? You're disgusting, right? It's just like, it'll naturally, when a man truly is just being authentic, it doesn't give a fuck, he naturally does that anyway.
Yeah.
But if you want to bring it down to a more practical level.
Well, I think guys are scared of, what I'm trying to get at is like, I think guys are scared of upsetting women. And you've kind of pointed this out to me as like, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. And it took me a really long time to figure this out.
Yeah.
Because I used to be very that way as well. Like, I feel like if I got a woman mad or upset, like, it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And I need to automatically be apologetic.
Yeah.
Automatically be apologetic. But it's like, nah, man, that's not true. Like, what I've come to learn about women is that they crave a spectrum of emotions from men. Mm-hmm. They just want to feel. And the worst thing a man can be is the invisible man.
What's that? What's the invisible man?
The invisible man is a man that is almost as non-existent to a woman. It's completely non-existent to a woman. Like, he can't make her feel anything. So she doesn't even have any type of attention on him.
Yeah, we stay on fire.
We stay on fire right now, bro.
I'm thinking about it.
The invisible man is the most painful thing for a man to be in too.
Yeah.
Because he gets no attention from women. Yeah. He doesn't feel desired by women at all. Mm-hmm. And man, that's a painful thing for a man to experience.
Yeah. Because
it goes down to such a biological, deep-rooted level that says like, hey, like, it biologically, subconsciously, that's telling a man, I cannot reproduce and multiply on this earth.
That's real.
It's profound, bro. So the worst thing you can be is the invisible man. Mm-hmm. Now, when I talk about positive and negative emotions, bro, we all go through positive and negative emotions. And we talked about this too before, how women are a lot of times obsessed with drama shows and like, you know what I'm saying? Like in movies and shit like that. Why? Because there's a great arc and array of negative and positive emotions to that thing. And women want to experience a love story, man. They want to experience a love story, and when you see a love story, it's not all positive, man. It's not all positive. So
it's a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. So you would say, I mean, I think you covered it, but essentially, the more authentic you are, that will naturally come out.
Yes, it'll naturally come out.
So if there's for example, if there's a behavior that you dislike, you should be able to voice that. You know?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And you should be able, and I wanna. There's a caveat to this. You should be able to voice it. Mm-hmm. From a grounded place as a man, because because there's a lot of guys out there who will be like a nice guy who I've said will get super mad after doing all this shit for her and explode on the girl, right? Yeah. It's just bitch energy. It's just like she doesn't want another pussy. Pussy, you know?
Yeah.
So the caveat is that if you're going to express that you're not content something with a woman, you need to do it from a place of groundedness where you've already processed those emotions and you have clarity. Mm-hmm. If you are not clear as a man, she will not be clear. Yeah, we've talked about this. Like, she feels what you're feeling is how she's feeling. If you're fucking everywhere and chaotic and you're mad like a man and you're like, oh, well, you didn't do this, and you've been using me, and you've been playing me, and blah, 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 all that shit. Well,
I think that idea of processing your emotions is important to understand because, you know, a woman can make you feel all sorts of ways, right? And, like, I mean, recently I had to go through this, right? It's like you have to, like, when you say process your emotions, the way I take it is like you have to sit with it and be with it, and let it.
You have to
marinate.
And I learned this from my meditation retreat too, because it was so profound. What most people do is when they have chaos in themselves, what they do is we've been taught to ignore it and take attention away from it.
Yeah.
No, what you need to do is you need to sit there, put attention on these emotions, go deep, and ask yourself why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Where did this come from? All that stuff, right? Process it, and then finally be able to let it go, and so that you can communicate that clearly.
Well, this is, we talked about this, like how many people we both know that it's kind of scary, but like can't sit and be with their own emotions, right? Like we've talked about that
their
a lot.
Own thoughts.
I've heard countless people say that. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, countless.
Yeah, it's a big problem, right? Just like being an emotionally healthy human being, like you have to, like, there's gonna be negative things that happen in life,
and instead we numb it with entertainment, escapism.
Well, I told you, when I went through my 29 days of sobriety, I went through a lot of emotions that I'm like, damn, like I was using certain substances to numb it, and escape from it. So that could be a whole nother. We should.
That's a whole other topic, but yeah.
All right, I got one more thing that
let's talk about.
I think it's a fun one that we should talk about, right? So, where is it? This has a lot of stuff.
The fun ones. I like the fun ones a lot.
Sometimes, women are frustrated to deal with, right? Okay, you're dealing with a range of emotions, blah, blah, blah. Like we talked about, a lot of dudes hating women. Yeah. And I'm curious, what do you love about women?
Ooh, that's
like
a good question,
what qualities? I wrote down like what does it mean to be a high value woman, but like what qualities do you feel like a woman gives that you truly appreciate? You know what I mean?
I would say the things I love about women are the opposite of what most men are frustrated or even hate about women.
Still recording?
Yeah, it is.
All right, cool.
I would say that the things I love about women are very much so the opposite of what men find frustrating about women. A lot of men hate that women are so moody. Dude, I fucking love that women are moody, because that gives me that is her being her most authentic self, her authentic nature. That's the essence of femininity.
Yeah.
Kind of chaotic, kind of everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I love that shit. I love being able to be the curator and the cause of her emotions. I love being the one to be like, oh, what's up, baby? You mad right now? Give me a little kiss. You know how I feel about you. Don't play. Then automatically seeing her mood switch to this beautiful, resonant, feminine, like her natural feminine beauty that I love. I fucking love it. It radiates. And one of the things I've learned too is you gotta change her mood. You don't change her mind, bro. If you change her mood, you will naturally change her mind. I guarantee it. Because she's not operating logically. I'm guaranteed. Feminine energy wants to be felt. It wants to be felt. So you need to feel that energy as a man and be able to lead her back into a place of beauty. Right? That's one of the things I love about women. Other thing I love about women is they're so fucking intuitive. Women have been reading faces since they were like babies, like children, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a study they did on boy kids and girl kids, where they put a toy, right, in the middle of a room, or like a piece of candy or something like that, right? And they did this experiment where they tested how little boys would behave towards that, toy or candy, versus how the little girls would behave. And what they found is that when they tested the boys would go direct to the thing and get it, right? They wanted that. They just gonna go get it. What they found with the little girls is also the girls wanted it, but what they would do first is they would look back at their parents' faces.
Yeah.
And look at their parents' faces for approval, or to read their faces before they got the signal that it was okay.
Yeah.
Which is very, very fucking interesting to me, bro. It's very, very interesting to me. So what that tells me is that women have been reading faces for so long.
Right.
Girls have been reading faces for so long that they become so intuitive to just the minuscule things, the little details of every little thing.
Yeah.
That's why that I love that about women. Like, women are the perfect reflection of men. Like, they are the perfect reflection, because if a man fucks up with a woman, or she leaves, or she gets repelled, you can either be like, oh, she's such a bitch, she's so blah blah blah, all this shit, or you can be like, fuck. As a man, you take responsibility, you take ownership, and be like, what did I do? You know, where did I? Because now, and honestly, that's the thing, that's how men can reclaim their power, by taking ownership of everything in their lives and being like, where did it shift?
Yeah, bro.
Love that intuition from women. And I will also argue that women are so relationship based. They do things based off of a relationship. I really believe, that's why I also believe that women should be the ones chasing the relationship. Women should be the ones chasing the relationship, because they're so good at it. They're so much better at it than men, at chasing a relationship. They know how to. If you when something is going on in a woman's life, where does she go to? She goes to her friends. Her mom, right away to talk about it for support. Where do men go, bro? Sometimes, and it's so sad. Sometimes
they don't have anywhere to go to.
Yeah,
you know,
they often feel like they're doing everything themselves, and they should, that's why men, I believe, should have a brotherhood, because as a man, it can be very, very fucking hard and difficult to deal with the chaos of life. Yeah, and that's why we should have these talks. You know, these conversations, man.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I think that caps it, bro. I think leave it at the banger.
Oh, there's still a lot of things I love about women, but we can talk about that later. Yeah.
All right.
I love it.